This is Astro, a multiplayer movement shooter in zero gravity. Before the next video, we're going to be holding the first online playtest. So if you want to play the game, I'm going to be posting more info in the Discord soon. The only requirement for being a playtester is accepting that I'm going to kill you. Like, a lot. I got a ton of progress done this past month with guns and mechanics. Now all three of the movement abilities are finally in the game, so let's see what those look like. The Impulse is a short speed boost which the player can use to instantly change direction. It's good for escaping close gunfights and cleaning up movement lines. I also think that it just makes gameplay feel smoother in general. Next is the Teleport. This is a grenade that you can throw and then at any time teleport to. You come out moving in the same direction that the grenade is moving, so you can also use it to change your direction. Also, if you bounce it off a surface, you get some additional speed boost. I wanted the Teleport to be more strategic and hard to master. Then I made the Grapple, which is pretty self-explanatory. The cool thing about the Grapple is that it's spring-based, so if you manually push against it with the thrusters and then let go, you get flinged back pretty fast. I think the three movement abilities work well together. The Impulse is just speed, the Teleport is repositioning, and the Grapple is kind of a mixture of the two. No one ability beats the others. It follows the same simple game design as rock, paper, scissors, shoot. Dang it! While I was creating the Grapple and the Teleport, my brother was making new guns.
Cause what fun is movement if you can't murder people while doing it? We added 2 new guns to Astro. This is Sledge, a pump shotgun that was teased earlier in the Discord.
Link in description.
It has 7 shells and shoots 8 pellets per shot. In the future, we might make it deal knockback force to enemies. Next, I made Nightshade, an energy sniper which kills in 2 body shots or 1 headshot. What makes it different from most snipers is it doesn't have a mag, so it needs to be reloaded after every shot. It took several practice attempts for me to nail down the weapon creation workflow, so let's look at how I do it. I start by sketching the weapon and getting a feel for how it should play. Then after that, I model it in Blender. I had 2 options for shading, either texture painting by hand or procedurally shading with Blender's nodes. But just when I started surfing Amazon for a $300 stylus, YouTube Analytics chokeslammed me into reality. Procedural generation ended up working out fine, and I'm pretty satisfied with this first art style. Next, I rigged the weapons to animate its moving parts, like the mag, by adding bones and weight painting. Then I bring it into Unreal Engine to create animations using a level sequencer and control rig, which guarantees that the animations will look the same in actual gameplay as they do during creation. Now would probably be a good time to mention that we gutted the animation system, again. The first person character is now split up into an arms and body mesh, which makes movements like the slide way cleaner. We also gave each weapon its own animation blueprint in first person, which is good for customization. But for third person, we used Unreal Engine's anim layer feature. This means we can make a single anim graph and then just inject certain gun-specific poses. The finishing touch for the weapons was adding particle effects. To do this, I used Unreal Engine's Niagara system, and my own system of just watching Valorant gameplay and wondering how they did it.
Okay, so back on the development side of things, I stripped out parts of the old weapon system and unified everything into the projectile system. I also added the ability for bullets to ricochet, which I thought was pretty cool, but most people didn't, so I scrapped that and then just simplified it to a hitscan system. In such a fast-paced game, it's easier and more reliable for the player to treat weapons as hitscan. So I was talking to my friend Jeff about Astro, and he complained that sometimes it made him nauseous, and I don't take criticism very well. Then I realized he might be right, so I decided to increase the field of view. See, when you increase the FOV for the player, rotations effectively change less of the screen. You can see this best by experiencing the game with a really low FOV like 60 degrees. I decided to settle on 115 degrees, which is about as large as I can go without making the map look weird. The only problem is that now the guns look stretched. So to fix this, I spent way too long making a system to reproject the weapon FOV only. By rescaling the guns, the game doesn't feel like it's being played at such a high FOV, but you still get a very large cone of awareness. Now I can check that off my to-do list. I should also mention that I have a confession to make. Earlier Astro playtests were actually not as honest as you might have thought. See, I was trusting the client for hit registration. And the golden rule of networking is never trust the client. With my new nettick system, distrusting the client couldn't be easier. So the fundamental problem all starts from packet loss and lag. This just means that internet messages take a few milliseconds to send, and sometimes they don't always make it. When I shoot you on my screen, your position is actually a blend of 2 snapshots, which I receive from the server. On your screen, you're probably already a tenth of a second in the future. It then takes another 40 milliseconds or so for me to tell the server that I hit you. Previously, I would just listen to what the client says and apply the damage, but now we have to actually verify that the shot did hit you. It's not enough to just use the current positions of the players because time has passed since the shot was performed, so we need to perform what's called a net rollback. Rollback means rewinding the players to the time that the shot was performed on the client and then testing if it hit the enemy. With NetTick, this is super easy, since I just send each state with a unique timestamp. So then when the client tells the server it hit an enemy, it just sends the timestamps of the 2 states that it was blending between. And then the server can roll back to recreate the shot and see if it hit the enemy. I actually designed NetTick with this exact problem in mind, and it was the thing that the character movement component was lacking. This is almost perfect, except there's one problem. The animation system is not networked, meaning that the position of the arms and legs are not synced up between the client and the server. So if I shoot your arm might be in a different position on the server, so it won't count. To solve this, I created my own hitbox solution, which only uses 10 hitboxes. Now, when the client reports a hit to the server, they also send a compressed hitbox state. Then the server can use this information to recreate the animation state of the enemy as it was seen on the client's screen. So now I can guarantee that 100% of client shots will be correctly registered on the server, except for of course packet loss and cheating. So after that, I created the game mode system for Astro. I want to have a ton of different game modes like free-for-all, team deathmatch, domination, and so on, so I wanted a really customizable system. For that, I took a page out of Lyra's book and made an experience asset. This is basically just a special blueprint which sits above the Unreal Engine game mode structure. The nice part about this is that you can spawn it in at runtime and you don't have to pick the game mode before the map loads. After that, I made an asset manager for Astro. To be honest, I didn't even know I needed this until now, but basically it just handles loading assets from storage into memory. That way you don't have to load every asset at once and then overflow the RAM. I set up a pretty nice system which allows me to treat weapons, maps, characters, game modes, and cosmetics all as DLC content which I can download at runtime without having the player have to update their game. So yeah, that was pretty much everything I did in this month. Stay tuned for next devlog and for the pre-alpha. Peace.